On episode 392 of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Michele Ufer and discuss his book, Mental Toughness for Runners. You can find the full show notes for this episode at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/392. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. Getting healthy and fit can be a tough road. I chose today's guest because he clearly proves that mental toughness can be learned. Mental Toughness for Runners is a fascinating book, even if you aren't a runner. I took a lot from this book, as I have from others, and each week I share a conversation to help you on your way. But I know I can do more. That's why I opened up my calendar to the free 15-minute consults. Whether you need a roadmap, guidance, or a jumpstart, don't miss this chance. Summertime is a lull in the fitness space, which makes this a great time for you to take action. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/coach and book a complimentary 15-minute consult. I'll share a 3-step process to ensure you know where you're going and the right way to get there. The sooner you act, the sooner you'll see results. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/coach. Our guest today is an internationally sought after expert in sports and management psychology and a successful ultra runner. As speaker, coach, and mental trainer, he motivates athletes, executives, and other high performers promoting top performance. He credits his success to mental training. With no further ado, here is Dr. Michele Ufer. Michele, welcome to 40 Plus Fitness.
Hi, Ellen. Thanks for inviting me to your show.
You know, your book, it's on mental toughness. It's on a lot of things. And as I got into it, what I really appreciated was the way that you layered the information in there so that you gave me a really good foundation for understanding the mind over body. And then you just kept taking it to a deeper level and a deeper level and a deeper level. And all these lessons and things that were in this book, I really liked how you related them to the event that you did. And so I'd like to kind of just start out with, could you tell us a little bit about that event and, you know, why you thought 15 weeks was enough to train for an ultra marathon when you'd never done anything close to that, and how you used mind over body as a basic way to do that?
Well, when I signed up for this ultramarathon, Atacama Crossing, I just realized, it's just 3.5 months to go. So I had no choice. And all the people around me, they told me I'm crazy. I've never done a marathon or half marathon before. I'm not an experienced runner. I'm not even felt like being a runner. And then signing up for such a race on the driest place on earth. And with just 3 months, the people just looked at me, stupid, crazy. It was out of, I don't know. They couldn't imagine. Me neither. And but finally it was just very short amount of time. And I told myself, then you really have to think wisely how you spend these couple of weeks. And my main goal was to get as fit as possible on the physical side, but not to train too much. I don't want to get exhausted when arriving at the start line. And a main or key point for me was the mental training part, the mental training session, because I titled the whole project an extreme mental self-test.
And it was, we're talking 240 kilometers. And for us Americans, I'll kind of put that in relation. When I did the 50-mile run, that was, to me, that was extremely long. This is far in excess of 50 miles.
Yeah, it was 250. And during my training for this race, the largest distance I covered was, I was shocked when I was looking at my GPS watch, but it was 29K. So I felt like, oh, Jesus, Michele, do you really want to travel to Chile and start at this race with a maximum distance of 29K in your longest training run? But then I said to myself, hey, what if it's your hobby? It will be a great adventure. And if you can't run anymore, you switch to walking or trekking. So it will all be fine.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to start out because when people think about training, I think they think just like the physical aspects of it. I know I typically have and just figured, I don't know, maybe the mental toughness just comes from the fact that you are continually putting yourself through the long runs. Like, so someone's going to train for a half marathon or marathon, may say on their day off, their Saturday or Sunday, they're going to do the long run. And over time, they inch that up to make it a little bit more and a little bit more. And then, they taper down for the race, and the training has been their mental training, even though they didn't really take the time. But in your book, you're talking about actually taking time to train your mind, not just the running part of it, but to actually train your mind. Can you talk about that mental training and how it's going to help us improve our performance?
Yeah, first of all, you're absolutely right. During the race, during the long runs, you have a lot of time to train your mind. And even if you push yourself through, this has a huge impact on your mental toughness. As you mentioned at the beginning, I'm not really a fan of mind over body. I rather think mind and body have to do kind of teamwork in order for you to achieve top performance or the goals you want. And for example, in German-speaking countries where the book got published first, there is tons of books out there, and they all focus on one thing: physical training plans. So they tell you when to run, how long to run, when to do cross training, how long the long run should be, when to do interval runs, and whatever. And at the same time, all runners, they say and confirm the mental aspect of performance is very important. But it's not represented in the training plans. So it's not there. And
I'm guilty of that too. I've had clients that, say, okay, I want to run a 5K.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, here's a training plan for you. And it's the slow progression of the distance and then doing some speed work and, all to go up to a race day when I know they're going to be capable of completing the race. But you're right. I've never sat down and say, okay, we're going to need to do some mental training on top of this to make this a more enjoyable part. I give them training, but when you're talking about a 5K or something like that, most people within a reasonable amount of time, there's not a lot of pain and angst. But if they want to run a certain time, that's where this is going to come in. Or if you're, I'm looking at this as a trainer and saying, this applies to everything. If you want to swim more, if you want to be able to ride your mountain bike further, if you have a little bit of this training, even a little bit, I think it's going to go a long way towards helping you be more successful.
Yeah, definitely. And I got a lot of feedback, although the book is dedicated to runners first, not just long distance runners or ultra runners. I got a lot of feedback from middle distance runners, 800 meters or whatever. They have to be mentally tough as well. And I even got some feedbacks from soccer trainer or tennis player or executives from business corporations, and they say this applies to all kinds of challenges because the main goal of mental training or mental toughness training is to achieve your goals maybe a bit smarter or to even achieve them at all.
Exactly. And I really like that you put that idea. This is not just a sports performance book or a running book, as you say. It actually can apply to a lot of parts of our lives, having that mental toughness to be able to push through when things get tough and maybe even have some fun when we're doing it. I love the story when you talked about Santana floating or running. When you first started the story, I thought, okay, Santana's going to be running along with them. And then you talked about the carousel, and I was like, okay. But you had fun. You didn't just tough out this race. You had fun while you were doing it because of the mental training you had done.
Yeah, exactly. It was the fun part for me was a key point. I really, when I signed up for the race, 10 seconds later, I started crying because it was such an amazing step for me. And 2 minutes later, I went into the living room and started listening to music. It was Carlos Santana. I was listening to some songs from 17, one called Revelations and the other one, Try a Little Bit Harder or Try a Little Harder. They fit perfectly to this project and they really become very motivational for me. And when I sat there listening to the music, just automatically kind of mental training started. I started visualizing how to get to the finish line, or the moment when I get to the finish line, how proud I would be, what I will feel like when I arrive at the finish line. But also, hey, Guy, now you signed up for this race. There's no return way. And what is the key challenges in order to complete this event? And immediately, a lot of things went through my head, and I just started ordering, developing mental images, self-talk elements, and emotions, and tons of things that were really very helpful.
In the very beginning of the book, you put in an example that I feel like really resonated with me because it was just a simple little experiment. And you call it the lemon experiment. And you can show us how a single thought and an image in your head can change your body. Would you take us through the lemon experiment?
Yeah, I'd like to. It's a very famous experiment and really a wonderful example on to show how conscious thoughts or mental images affect your bodies really immediately in a minimum of time. So, dear readers, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you now to this little experiment. Imagine holding an already peeled lemon in your hand. It's a plump, early ripening, and therefore particularly sour lemon, very sour lemon. And imagine what the lemon surface feels like as you turn it over and move it around in your hand. And now imagine raising your arm and passing the lemon under your nose to smell it. And you begin to notice a pleasant, fresh lemon scent. And the longer you hold the lemon in your hand, look at it and sniff it. And the stronger the lemon's fresh scent becomes. And now imagine bringing the lemon to your lips, opening your mouth and taking a big bite. So that's already this little exercise. For many people, it works particularly well with their eyes closed, and the more intense and detailed the attention that is focused on the mental image, the more senses or cognitive channels are activated, and generally the more significant is the immediate physical reaction. So some people, they really shudder when they imagine themselves biting into the sour lemons, or others' facial muscles, they contract or increase in saliva production. So an immediate impact. If just such a little image can have such a huge impact, then we can use this information to control our thoughts during tough moments. And I did that during the Atacama race really a couple of times. Like you mentioned, the Carlos Santana image. If you want, we can talk about this. It was really funny, but it was also very functional. I used this image to change to put myself in a different state, in a functional state, and to feel freshness and to have fun and whatever.
Yeah, I think the one I liked that you could probably tell us about, you said you were running and I guess the ground was particularly rough. It was, of course, you're in the desert, so it's very hot. You imagined water like on a beach washing up over your feet.
Yeah, exactly. One of the key points for me during the preparation was during these ultra races, the feet, they carry you the whole way. They are crucial for your success. And many people suffer from blisters and, I don't know, the feet are swollen like crazy. There's always a lot of sand and stones in the shoes. So it makes all time, so things get bloody. And I define my feet to be most important. And I was defining a kind of a goal. I wanted to achieve a process goal for my feet. How do I want my feet to feel? What do I think my feet should be like in order to carry me through the race? And I defined the feet should feel fresh, really absolutely fresh. And I was searching for an image that represents this freshness. And there came an image into my head when I'm walking at the seashore barefoot, and the water is just, I don't know how to say in English, gets over the feet and gets the waves just get over the feet, get back. When the waves getting back, there is some wind who makes feel the feet even more fresher. And I really imagined this in a very intensive way and finally felt that my feet got more and more fresh. And I have another image just walking, I don't know, in the mountains on fresh grass in the morning, still a bit barefoot as well, and with my wife hand in hand, very relaxed. And I really focused on this feeling of freshness. And finally, I was able to activate this feeling during tough moments when, I don't know, we ran 80K and it was hot, of course, in the desert. But getting into this image, I felt my feet fresh. And the result was I didn't have any blister at all. And made it to the finish line finally.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it works, And but I want to kind of jump on the other side of the conversation, because I think a lot of us start there, and it's self-sabotage. And so in the book, you kind of really get into some of the words when we're talking to ourselves, we're doing this stuff. There's words that we need to start avoiding.
Yeah. It's very interesting. A couple of years ago, I was invited for a conference, a sport medical conference, and it took place in the Alps, in a ski resort. And during the morning, the people were involved in scientific lectures, and in the afternoon, we had ski courses, ski lessons. And during one of my lectures, I was presenting people with techniques that have an immediate effect on their performance. And it was confronting them with instructions, or maybe self-instructions that are very common, whether we talk to ourselves or we talk to friends, we want to help them as a trainer, whatever. There's this self-talk like, don't put so much pressure on yourself, or don't stiffen up when you run. Or maybe the participants in the Congress who were skiing, don't hit the snow gun, or don't ski straight at another skier. So very, very common self-talk, I think. And I explained people that it's really dysfunctional because it moves us exactly in the direction we don't want. Yeah. So this kind of verbalization, they are all well-intended, but they have their pitfalls, and they lead to precisely the opposite behavior, the one we wish to avoid.
Now, I know they tell you, if you see a police officer has pulled someone over to the side of the road and you're passing by, don't look at the police car. Mm-hmm. Keep your eye on the road where you want to be driving, because so many people are looking at the police car and end up hitting the police car.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You move in the direction you focus on. And this is true also with the self-talk. If we're talking about don't do this, don't do that, the problem is our brain doesn't have any internal representations for denials. So when someone is talking to us, or we're talking to ourselves, stuff like don't put so much pressure on yourself, there are a lot of areas in our brain start working, connecting each other. And this can be centers for cognition, image processing, movement control, whatever. And there's always a center for visual imagery of facts and circumstances involved as well. So when someone tells me, don't stiffen up when you run, I have to represent this first in order to then deactivate it again. But in this moment, the focus is already guided into the wrong direction.
Yeah, I can't remember the animal you used in the book right now, but it was sort of the concept of don't think about a polar bear.
Yeah.
It immediately, what's your head going to do? It's going to think polar bear. And so now you've got to say, well, I don't want to think about a polar bear. So you have to try to clear that image out of your head. And it's very difficult.
Yeah, exactly. That's I don't know, cultural thing. We are very much conditioned to these negations, but they have the pitfalls. So what we should do, well, first, the language that focuses on negative things or on things we don't want or on mistakes leads to these results that we wish to avoid. So we should rather learn to focus on goals instead, or on things we really want instead of things we do not want.
Yeah. So instead of saying don't put so much pressure on yourself, it's run relaxed.
Yeah, stay relaxed, stay calm.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
And then two other words that you use, that you talk about, are the words try and must.
Yeah, if we use the word, I don't know if it's the same in English-speaking countries, but in German-speaking countries, the word must is very popular. But it's also very problematic because must always induces kind of pressure and at the same time kind of reactions to do or to want the opposite. So imagine yourself telling, I must train today, or for me, it feels hard already. And we should avoid this word and rather choose something more productive, like I will train today,
Yes.
or I'll go train today.
Or better yet, I get to train today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the word try feels like it will be hard. You have to put a lot of effort in something. So would be a good idea to change it as well. Not I try to prepare a nice presentation for the meeting. No, I will prepare it, and that's it.
And yeah, so with this, the focus is focus on where you want to go instead of the things that you want to avoid. But invariably, we have these things in our head. They talk to us all the time. We can't shut them off. We call it self-talk, but it's the voice in our head. And for a lot of us, we need to change it. We need to manage it. And it's not as easy as just saying, I'm not going to use these words. That helps. It definitely helps. But when you're in a tough situation and the self-talk is starting to move against you, what are some training things that we can do to kind of make sure that we're in a position to turn that around, to change that self-talk? Because that's at a point where we're at our physical weakness. We're weak physically, we're emotionally tired and fatigued. And now we've got this internal dialogue that we need to turn around. What are some tools that we can use to make sure we're in a position to do that?
I think the first step is to be aware of your self-talk, and especially of negative self-talk. And a very easy strategy, which also is backed by science, it's proven helpful, is to start writing a little kind of diary. Just go through your last race, tough race maybe, or situations, and remember the self-talk you had. Was it positive? Was it negative? In what moments do I have negative self-talk, and what exactly is the self-talk like? Or what do I tell myself? And I can make a list, and when I have a bit of time, maybe during the next long run, and I want to combine running with some mental training, I can spend a little bit of time changing these self-talks, these negative self-talks, into positive ones. And the next time I'm on a tough moment, and maybe I realize, okay, the inner voice is there again, the negative inner voice is there. There's one very powerful strategy. It's thought stop. So whenever I realize, I'm into negative self-talk again, just tell yourself, stop. Or maybe you can combine it with a kind of gesture or with an inner image of, I don't know, a red button, which when you push it, it makes a sound like or whatever. But this stop technique is very powerful to just stop the negative thinking, this automatism. But then if you stopped it, you have to offer your brain something else instead. Otherwise, the brain will jump back to the last rather negative self-talk again. So don't leave the brain in a kind of vacuum. Offer him a positive self-talk, and you could prepare this before a race, or when you started working on your diary and you you found this is my typical negative self-talk in this or that situation, and you have turned them into positive one, you can combine it with the stop technique. So whenever negative self-talk, you stop, you make a thought stop, and then you'll switch consciously to a positive self-talk that is rather functional.
Okay, can you give us an example of how you've used this before?
Easy example is the last couple of days, it was really hot in Germany, and people are complaining all the time. And now you can go out running and start or let your inner voice complain, oh, it's so hot, it's so hot. But that's not really helpful. You suffer more than you might have to suffer. So you can just work with the thought stop technique, maybe use your inner beep or whatever, and switch immediately to positive. Hey, running in the heat is a great opportunity for me to improve going through challenging conditions. And I just adapt the speed and, well, get enough drinks or whatever. Or I just enjoy the sun. Well, we are not in a very sunny state. So, yeah, be happy. Finally, you have some sun. Enjoy the sun, or whatever. It's really very personal. And sometimes these self-talk or images, they just pop out spontaneously, very spontaneously. But you should be open for this.
Oh, good. And then, I think one of the other things you talked about, like, to make sure there's no vacuum there, is to maybe fill it up with something that's a little fun, like you said, the Santana thing, or, water running over your feet, or walking in a cool, damp morning mountain air grass, and those things where you're putting something into your head that's there,
yeah,
and it's going to keep those negative thoughts from returning.
Yeah, exactly. Even another strategy might be, in order to prevent negative self-talk or images to occur, just fill up your mind with tons of positive self-talk. For example, that's a strategy I used. I've been in Russia 2 weeks ago at a race called Trans-Ural. It's a race series, 4 races, 160 to 180 kilometers each. And the first day for me was very tough, very difficult. The days and weeks before, didn't sleep enough. I had to stop every couple of minutes to do some footage for TV documentary that will be broadcasted in a couple of months. It was hard for me. The next day, I really switched my mind and I said, okay, Michele, you are here. It's free choice. So start enjoying the race while taking the footage. And I started working with self-talk, very easy, but which has worked for many years for me. The self-talk was just, I feel fresh and relaxed, fresh and relaxed, fresh and relaxed. I enjoy it being on the way, whatever. And I spent hours out there on the course just repeating this all the time, repeating. I run fresh and relaxed, fresh and relaxed. What happened was I started feeling fresh and relaxed. And there was no chance for negative self-talk to enter my brain because it was completely full of this positive self-talk. So nice way to avoid occurrence of negative self-talk. And you might get in a kind of trance state if you use it like a mantra, repeating.
Yeah, I've used mantras during particularly tough times. When I went through basic training in the military, our captain was a Green Beret. And so he loved this thing called a flutter kick. And you basically lay on your back and you lift your feet off the ground and you just start kicking your feet almost like you're scuba diving upside down, just kicking your feet. And after a while, you start feeling the burn in your abdominals and top of your legs. And it's hard to just keep going. So your body wants to quit. You're in a lot of pain. And because I was in basic training and I was stubborn, I will not quit. And that was my mantra as I'm kicking. And the more it hurt, the more I had to actually verbally say it versus just say it in my head, so that it was getting louder and louder than what I was feeling. And he walked by and saw me and heard me and said, you won't quit. And we went for another few minutes and I made it through the entire time and didn't have to put my feet down. I felt it that afternoon because it was a tough workout, but it got me through it, and it kept me going when more likely than not, self-talk would have said, hey, you can put your feet down. He's going to come yell at you, and then you'll just lift him back up and start kicking. But you can rest if you want, that whole, he's telling me must, and my brain's saying, okay, I don't want to quit, but turning it into a mantra and just continuing to repeat that just allowed me to push a little harder than my body would have normally let me.
Yeah, there's even some evidence from science that this works. For example, studies showing that people that enter into this kind of trance state, they might perform better, but feeling less exhausted, or where the strain is less than what they objectively have to master or have to go through.
Michele, I define wellness as being the healthiest, fittest, and happiest you can be. What are 3 strategies or tactics to get and stay well?
I'm not really, well, this is now the big question, the listicles. I've heard about it. People love listicles, the 3 top strategies. And normally when I'm talking to journalists, I tell them, sorry, I can't deliver because we are all very different. We have different goals. We have different concepts maybe of what being happy means. We are living in very different contexts. So it's really hard to offer the 3 magic strategies. I think one advice could be love what you do. Maybe it's not the answer you're expecting.
No. That is a big part of it. As I talk to people about fitness, you don't necessarily want to have to look like a bodybuilder or a CrossFit athlete or, an elite runner. That might not be your goal for fitness. Your goal might just be to be the best grandmother you can be and train for that, make that your thing, because now that's your why, that's your vision, that's everything you want to be. So I very much agree with that. It's do what you love.
I might add something, have fun while doing what you love, and be aware of yourself and what you really need, what is good for you in a certain moment. I feel like many people, they lose a bit of contact to their bodies. They don't really listen to themselves. And so this might be very basic strategy, but powerful. And some people really have to relearn, listen to themselves and to their bodies.
Yeah. Well, your book, Mental Toughness for Runners, I think is going to make me a better trainer. A lot of the lessons that are in there, I'm going to take to heart in my own work and training. But I think I'm also going to share a lot of that with my clients, because I do think they're very powerful strategies when we're hitting those tough times. So thank you so much for coming on today and sharing this with us. If someone wanted to learn more about you, learn more about the book, where would you like for me to send them?
Well, first of all, if they want to have a look at the book, check out at the local bookstore or on the internet shops. Maybe people want to have a look on my website with some additional information on the book and some readers' comments as well. And I'm always very happy to receive feedbacks from readers and share success stories. So I'm really looking forward to get in touch.
Okay. Do you have that link for your website?
Yeah, it's micheleufer.com.
Okay. Well, you can go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/392, and I'll be sure to have a link to his website and the book. Michele, thank you so much for being a part of 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you, Alan.
So how did you enjoy that episode? It's kind of interesting. I really like Michele and his approach to life and to a lot of different challenges. The interesting thing is, I think this might have been his very first podcast in English, and I think he did so well sharing his ideas and sharing information about his book, Mental Toughness for Runners. Even though I don't consider myself a runner, I always feel like I learned so much from them. Running is a tough sport, and what's in your head is just as important as what your body can do. It's a solo effort where you truly get out what you put in. But I want you to know, on your health and fitness journey, you're not alone. You can have a coach with you. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/coach and book a free 15-minute consult. During the call, I'll share a 3-step process that will help you know how to get where you want to be and get there in the safest way possible. Take advantage of this free call and get the boost you need. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/coach. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we bring back Gary Dudney. and we'll discuss his book, The Mindful Runner. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.